Okay, let's unpack this. We've all seen those government documents, right? They can feel, I don't know, like they're written in a different language sometimes. So much jargon, so many acronyms. But here on the deep dive, we try to cut through all that for you. Our mission is really to dig out the important bits and explain what it actually means. And today, we're taking a deep dive into something called the DOE and SBA Research Act. The official number is H.R.788. Now, this isn't just some dusty old bill. It's pretty recent, passed the House back on February 25, 2025. And it sets up this interesting collaboration. So our goal today is to figure out what this act really demands from two big players, the Department of Energy, the DOE, and the Small Business Administration, the SBA. What does it mean for them to work together? And maybe more importantly, what could it mean for you, whether you run a business or just live your daily life?
Yeah, it's actually quite fascinating when you look at it, because this bill is trying to build a bridge between what seem like, well, two pretty different worlds, really. You've got the Department of Energy, which is all about big science, right?
Yeah.
National labs, huge energy projects. And then you have the SBA, which is focused on, entrepreneurs, small companies, helping the economy grow from the ground up. So this bill is a real formal attempt to get those two different missions talking, finding some synergy.
Okay, so why should you, listening right now, care about a bill connecting these two? They sound kind of separate. Well, because the ripple effects could be huge. Think about innovation, new tech, rolling out faster. That could actually touch your life in significant ways. Just imagine, the research power of these big federal labs hooking up directly with the speed and agility of small businesses. That could really shake things up, create opportunities we haven't even thought of yet.
The core idea, forging a new partnership.
All right, let's get into the core of it then. What's the main idea? How does this act actually make them collaborate, not just suggest it?
Well, the key thing is it mandates a formal partnership. It's not just a suggestion. The Secretary of Energy and the head of the SBA, the bill called them the covered officials, they have to enter into a formal agreement. Think of it like a contract, a memorandum of understanding, something solid. And the main goal, it's laid out as carrying out cross-cutting and collaborative research and development activities. So it's about finding that sweet spot where the DOE's big mission needs overlap with what the SBA wants for small businesses. They're supposed to find common ground where working together achieves more than they could alone.
Right, so it's really about breaking down those walls between agencies, not just like coordinating occasionally, but actually merging efforts on specific challenges, creating a kind of combined team almost, too. Mandating small business inclusion. Now, you mentioned small businesses, and this seems really critical. The Act specifically says the officials shall ensure the inclusion of small business concerns. That shall sounds important. It's not optional, is it? And what does small business concern technically mean here? Is it just any small company?
That's a really good point. The shall is definitely key. It's a requirement. And no, it's not just any small company. The Act points directly to the definition in Section 3 of the Small Business Act. That's 15 U.S.C. 632 if you want the specifics. And that definition gets pretty detailed. It usually involves things like annual revenue or number of employees. And those limits change depending on the industry. Manufacturing is different from software. So using that specific definition ensures that we're really talking about bringing genuinely small, independent businesses into the fold. It's targeted to help that specific sector at the real engine of entrepreneurship.
Okay, this is where it could get really interesting for a lot of people listening. If you own a small business, or maybe you're thinking about it, or you know someone who does, this sounds like it could open doors. Can you give an example? Like, how might this actually play out?
Sure. Imagine, say, a small tech firm that's really agile, maybe specializing in advanced materials. Through this act, they might get a chance to partner with a DOE national lab that's developed a breakthrough material, but hasn't figured out how to scale it up for, say, better batteries. The small business brings the speed, the market focus, maybe the specific manufacturing know-how, and the DOE lab provides the core science, the testing facilities. Together, they could potentially get a new product out much faster.
Ah, I see. So it's about connecting that big science with the practical, fast-moving side of small business.
Exactly. It bridges that gap, giving small firms access to resources and research opportunities that were probably way out of reach before.
That could mean real contracts, real growth for those businesses. 3, flexibility for greater impact. Okay, so it mandates the partnership, mandates including small businesses. But how do they actually do it? Does the Act give them flexibility? I saw something about reimbursable agreements. What's that about?
Right, the reimbursable agreements. That's about the practical nuts and bolts of sharing. It basically allows one agency, say the DOE, to provide a service or resource, maybe access to special lab equipment or the time of their scientists, to the SBA or a small business partner involved in the project, and then get reimbursed for the cost. It's a way to make sure resources are used efficiently across the partnership. You don't need everyone to own the same expensive machine, right? You can share and just cover the costs. It makes the whole R&D effort more effective.
Makes sense. Like borrowing a cup of sugar, but for high-tech lab gear, and you pay them back?
Sort of. Yeah, a slightly more formal version of that.
And it's not just DOE and SBA, is it? The Act says they can collaborate with other federal agencies, too.
Yes, that's another important piece of flexibility. It says they can collaborate with other federal agencies as appropriate. So this opens the door much wider. It's not just a two-way street. If a project needs expertise from, say, NASA on material science, or maybe the EPA on environmental impact, they can potentially bring those agencies into the collaboration. It creates the potential for a much bigger innovation network, pulling in the best resources from across the government where it makes sense for the specific research goal. 4. Accountability and future planning.
Okay, so they set up these partnerships, maybe bring in other agencies. How do we know if it's actually working? Is there any kind of check-in?
Yes, definitely. Accountability is built in. The Act requires the DOE and SBA heads to submit a report to Congress. This has to happen no later than 2 years after the Act becomes law. And it's not just a quick, things are going okay report. It has to be detailed.
What kind of details?
Well, they need to report on how the coordination itself is working between the two agencies. They need to identify opportunities to maybe expand the technical skills in both DOE and SBA through this work. Crucially, they have to list actual collaborative research achievements, so tangible results. Plus, identify areas for future wins and lay out plans for how they'll keep the coordination going. It's designed to really measure progress and keep them focused on the goals Congress set out.
And there's another bit of legal language in there, something about consistency with Subtitle D of Title VI of the Research and Development, Competition, and Innovation Act. That sounds complicated. Why is that included?
Yes. That reference, while it sounds technical, points to something really important: research security. That other act, the Research and Development, Competition, and Innovation Act, put a lot of emphasis on protecting U.S. research and intellectual property, from theft or exploitation, especially by foreign rivals. So by requiring these DOE-SBA activities to be consistent with that, H.R.788 is basically saying, innovate, collaborate, yes, but do it securely. It embeds research protection right into the foundation of these partnerships, which is pretty critical today.
Got it. So innovate, but lock the doors.
Essentially, yes. Protect the breakthroughs that come out of this, the financial reality. No new money.
Okay, let's talk dollars and cents, or maybe the lack thereof. Section 3 of the Act is called Compliance with CUTO, and it flat out says, no additional amounts are authorized to be appropriated to carry out this act. First, what's CUTO? And second, how are they supposed to do all this cool new collaboration with no new money?
Right, CUTO. It stands for Cut As You Go. Sometimes called PA-GO or Pay As You Go. It's a budget rule Congress uses. Basically means if you want to spend new money on something, you generally have to find savings somewhere else or raise revenue to offset it. Keep things budget neutral. So applying CUTO here means exactly what you said. Congress isn't giving the DOE or SBA any extra budget specifically for this act. They have to make this happen using the money they already have.
Wow. So all this mandated partnership, small business inclusion, potential collaboration, it all has to come out of their existing budgets.
Exactly. They need to shuffle priorities, find efficiencies, maybe repurpose funds from less critical areas. It forces them to be really strategic and, frankly, creative in how they implement this. They can't just ask for a bigger check. It's a significant constraint, but also maybe a driver for smarter resource allocation.
So what's the takeaway for you, the listener, on this money point? It means this whole initiative is pushing for efficiency. It's about squeezing more value out of the dollars already being spent, rather than adding to the federal budget. Trying to get more innovation bang for the existing buck, you could say, it forces them to be lean and mean with how they set this up. Outro. So there we have it, a deep dive into the DOE and SBA Research Act, H.R.788. We've seen how it forces this potentially powerful partnership between the Department of Energy's huge research engine and the SBA's connection to nimble small businesses. The goal, cross-cutting R&D, the mandate, include those small firms, the method, flexible agreements, even bringing in other agencies, and the accountability, reporting back to Congress, all done, remarkably, without any new funding allocated.
And it really makes you think, doesn't it? If these two agencies with really different cultures and missions are being pushed to collaborate and innovate within their existing budgets, what could that mean elsewhere, in other parts of government? Maybe even how private companies think about partnerships and using resources.
Yeah.
Thinking about you personally. How might these partnerships actually show up in your world? Could it lead to, I don't know, cheaper solar panels developed faster? Or maybe smarter grid technology that prevents outages? Or even totally new kinds of jobs related to these innovations?
Yeah, we hope this breakdown has given you a clearer view of how a bill like this works, and, more importantly, why it might matter beyond just the headlines. So think about that ripple effect. What happens when big science really does meet small business agility right here in the US? What new ideas, what new products, what essential services might bubble up from that mix? It's definitely something worth keeping an eye on.